I'm Gab Marcotti, and he's still Julien Lawrence, and we are here to discuss the winner of the FC 100 in the fullback category, and it's Achraf Hakimi.
Yes, Gabby, and I think it's well deserved. I'm looking at him. He's never looked so handsome than this with European Cup trophy here. I mean, what to say that we haven't said already through the season, not just now towards the end, but through the season in everything that he brings his football team. I even think he's improved massively defensively, which maybe before could have been a little weakness of him, that he was more attacking minded than really set defensively. But now I think he's got everything. And even Luis Enrique has taken Ashraf's game to another level in terms of the build-up phase, what he brings with the ball, coming inside the law, being in this very fluid system, being everywhere, and as we saw in the Champions League final, scoring a goal even as in the number 9 position, really.
Yeah, and also, of course, scored in previous rounds of the knockouts. Big name player. I think he represents best, together with Trent Alexander-Arnold, kind of this idea that fullback is an attacking position in the modern game for many teams, not every team. And the remarkable thing with him is obviously earlier in his career, he's also spent a lot of time playing on the other flank as well. So even the whole inverted winger mentality coming to the fullback position is not something that we see too often. And before people talk about right-footed Paolo Maldini playing left back, that was a different time. That was a different era. That was a different interpretation of the position. One thing I want to ask is, did you think he would take so quickly to Luis Enrique, though?
Yeah, I did, because I think he learned a lot in Italy. That one season against Inter Milan that we mentioned on the show the other day, where I think tactically he really grew as a wing back as well, but in a system that needs you to be smart and needs you to understand, especially in that Inter Milan team. Maybe there's the other 3-5-2 or that kind of system with the back five where you don't have to be as smart, but certainly for the team that he played for, you have to really understand everybody's movement, positions, and switches and interchangeability, really. So I think he learned a lot there, and then Luis Enrique this year especially has just made him an even better player.
Yeah, that was obviously Antonio Conte's Inter. So in terms of tactical awareness and things like that, he had a really good grounding. And I think it's one of the things that has made him better is you work with a manager like Conte and then you work with a manager like Luis Enrique.
Absolutely,
You can always find the common points between the two, but there's also very many differences, and that completes his education. I think the fact also growing up in Spain has also given him, when we talk about, again, the complete education of different types of football. Going up in Spain at a big club, I think also gives him an assuredness and a confidence that, this is not new for him. If he's older now, but even when he was younger, he always had that confidence, and he took it with him into the national team as well.
Yeah, exactly. That's the point I was going to make, Gabby. I think what also one of the reasons why he's at that level now is that 2022 World Cup. We were in Qatar together. We saw him play a lot, and that confidence that competition gave him and his team, but him especially, how good he was through the whole tournament until the semi-final and the third, fourth place kind of mini final, whatever it's called. I think just gave him such a boost. He came back to Paris was very much like a different guy, I think, and that for me changed probably even his mindset on where he should be as a player, which is right there at the top amongst the best in the world, and certainly in his position as the best in the world.
Yeah, there's a level of leadership to him, which is quite like, you don't need to be a great leader to be a great footballer. Let's be very clear. There's plenty of lead by example types. But it feels to me that maybe when Marquinhos is 31 years old, maybe, and I think technically Kimpembe is still the club captain, if I'm not mistaken. Or
that's a good question. I don't know,
but it's really on the pitch among the guys who are able to play regularly. I wonder, could he be the next? Would he be maybe even more than Dembele, who maybe is a different type of personality?
Maybe. Although he's still quite quiet in the dressing room, much more than Dembele, who never shush. So Yeah, I don't know. It's an interesting one because I think this is the next step for him. Is that leadership, the maturity, even more. He's 26 years old, so there's plenty more to come from Hakimi, whether it's in Paris or with Morocco or in another club. There's much more to come. Let's see how he evolves. Let's see his progression, how that continues, and how far can he go really? Because I even wonder sometimes if he could become a bit more of a midfielder and still has somebody behind him, so he doesn't have to think about defending. The engine is there; he can run and run and run forever. So there's so much, I think, more to come from him.
The way he interprets a position as well. What strikes me is when we think of great fullbacks of the past, we normally put them into two buckets, right? The guys who are kind of straight down the line winger types who beat you and deliver crosses and whatever, and the guys who come inside and play. I'm thinking Trent Alexander-Arnold, Dani Alves as well. It seems to me earlier in his career, he was used primarily in the previous category as purely a winger, an adjunct winger, on the overlap,
all the time.
deliver the cross. But this season, again, under Luis Enrique, we've seen them do more sophisticated things. He's also able to do this, I think, because that midfield trio of Jean Neves, Vitinha, and Fabian Ruiz, whichever one, and they do interchange it, but whichever one comes to his side, they know that they have the cover, that they can step out and deliver the width.
Yeah.
And he has license to come inside and play make.
Yeah, I think this is the best environment for him. That's why he's grown so much this season too, because of all that fluidity within the structure that we've mentioned so often, all this mobility from players, and that's how he ends up as a number 9 to score that goal in the Champions League final. That's how he ends up at Villa Park, scoring in transition in the second leg like a winger. This system has enabled him to shine even more really than the great player that we've discussed since he was very young, to be fair. And that's credit to Luis Enrique, and down to Luis Enrique and his tactics, but down to Achraf as well for having embraced them. And he didn't have to do it, but he felt comfortable to step into midfield, for example. He felt comfortable to change position during games, as long as somebody was then in his position too. And that has been great. I think players like him need that space to express themselves really, because he's, like you said, a creative player really, despite originally still being only a right back.
And final word, because I got to give a big up to Luis Enrique as well. When we talk about managers having the flexibility to cater to what they do, when we saw Luis Enrique, obviously, yes, he had Dani Alves at Barcelona. You can say there's a parallel there. But then the Spain national team, he had Dani Carvajal, very different type of player, to Achraf Hakimi. And now he catered to Hakimi and helped him. But I think he played a big part in helping him win the FC 100.